morning. So now we discuss next one is the conventional software management performance. So last class we have discussed conventional software management and the waterfall model. So now we have go for the next one is late risk resolution. That is, a serious issue is associated with the waterfall life cycle was the lack of early risk resolution. That is the lack of early risk resolution. So it is one of the serious issue in the waterfall life cycle model. Okay, so here the below figure illustrates a typical risk profile for conventional waterfall model projects. It includes 4 distinct periods of risk exposure where risk is defined as the probability of missing a cost and a schedule and feature or quality goal. So where the risk is defined, the first one is the missing of cost or schedule or feature or quality of goal. So early in the life cycle, as the requirements for being specified, the actual risk exposure were highly unpredictable. There is a highly unpredictable. So where the risk will be found, the first one is the if you are missing the cost, okay, there is the low cost, but it will be taking of the high cost, then it is a problem. And schedule, so we have to define the schedule is 6 months, but it will be increase the time, so it is the one of the risk. And next the features, so whenever you have to implement the particular system, it will be respond to the next features of that is the we can easily change, that is a possible or not. If it is possible, okay, but if it is not possible to any modifications, that will be also problem. And next one is the quality based. So this one is the quality based. See, a serious issue associated with the waterfall life cycle was the lack of early risk resolution. Below it is stated a typical risk profile for conventional waterfall model projects. So it includes 4 distinct periods of risk exposure. So where will be risk will be exposed, that is the mainly we can assign the 4 distinct periods. The first one is the missing of cost, second one is the schedule, third one is the feature, and next one is the quality goal. That is the cost, reduce of cost, the cost will be increased, that is one of the problem. And schedule will be increased, it is one of the problem. Features are not available, it is one of the problem. And quality is not good, it is one of the problems. So mainly the risk will be associated with the 4 distinct periods. The first one is the cost, schedule, feature, and quality goal. Okay, see, early in the life cycle, as the requirements were being specified, the actual risk exposure was highly unpredictable. It is highly unpredictable, it is not be assigned. See here, so where the problems will be clear, it is one of the low and high. It is the project risk exposure, that is the project risk exposure. So what we have to define here, 4 parts are defined. The first one is the requirement, second one is the design coding, third one is the integration, and fourth one is the testing. See, risk explanation period, so where the risks will be starting, that is the main thing, the requirements. When we can assign the requirements are not good or not satisfied to the particular project, the particular system, the problem will be start at the time of the analysis, the gathering of the requirements. Okay, see, in that way we can say risk explorant period is the one of the risk exploring period where it will be there requirements. See, whenever we have to gathering the perfect requirements, if there is no risk to the next analysis and design and coding, whenever we have not to identify the perfect requirements of the particular system or particular project, the risk exploration will be started from the gathering of the requirements. So whenever the problem will be assigned, then see, risk elaboration period starts from the design and coding. So the requirements are not satisfied the particular system or requirements are not available perfectly, then the risk elaboration will be started from the design and coding process. Okay, that is the design and coding, that is the risk elaboration period. So so what we say, the requirement is good, So we have to easily implement the particular systems, but requirements are not perfect to the particular system. The risk will be elaborate of the design coding. So whenever requirement design coding will be integrated, then go for the integration. It will be focused risk resolution period. So where we will be focused in risk period is the whenever we integrate the particular systems or components, then we can assign the focused risk resolution period. Okay, then so when we have to focus the risk, then the integration testing, then we go for the testing control risk management period. That is the here we can control the risk from the management. When we go for the testing of the last thing, so we have to control it, but already the problem will be like already the risk will be defined. So then that what we can go for the controlled risk management period. So there are the four things. First one is the requirement design coding, integration, testing. Since the requirements are not good, the risk will be high. The risk elaboration will be done from the design and coding, then it will be go for the integration, then go for the testing. It will be increasing to the end of the testing, the risk will be decreased. So here the increase will be high, then go for the design. We can analyze the what are the risks, like what are the problem, then go for the integration. We can completely focus on the particular systems where the problem will be occurred, then go for the testing. We can completely resolve that one. So where the problem will be occurred, in that problem we can solve from the after sessions. Okay, so here see the requirements, the risk is high stage. When we go for the design and integration and testing, it will be decreasing. That is a low from the risk. So that is the main issue of the particular waterfall life cycle, that is the lack of early risk resolutions. Here main the four distinct periods are there from the risk exposures, that is from the missing of cost, schedule, feature and the quality goal. Okay, next, requirements driven functional decomposition. That is this approach depends on specifying requirements completely and unambiguously before other development activities begin. So whenever to specify the requirements completely before we go, development will be assigned. In naively treats all requirement as early, sir, that is the equally important and depends on those requirements remaining constant over the software development life cycle. Whenever we have to implement the development life cycle, we can implement the requirements before we can assign the perfect requirements. Okay, so it is naively treats all requirements as early important and depends on those requirements remaining constant over the software development life cycle. So these conditions rarely occur in the real world. Okay, that is the specification of requirement is a difficult and important part of software development process. So what we say, the specification requirements is a difficult and important part of the software development process. That is the specification requirements is maybe hardware requirements, software requirements. So these are the most important. So which softwares we have to assign, like which software is simply it will be easy to the particular implement of the product, which software to assign, and what are the requirements of the hardware. So whatever the RAM, whatever the hard disk, whatever the space, storage, whatever. So basically we can say that the specification requirement is a difficult and most important part of the software development process. That is the hardware environment and the software environment, or hardware requirements and software requirements are the most important for the particular software development process and chepachu. Okay na. So this approach depends on specifying requirements complete and unambiguously before other development activities began. It naively treats all requirement as equal important and depends on those requirements remaining constant over the software development life cycle. So these conditions rarely occur in the real world, and specification of the requirement, that is the hardware and software requirements is a difficult and most important part of the particular software development process. And next one is the property is the conventional approach is that the requirements are typically specified is functional manner. So where we, so in that we can assign the requirements are based upon the functioning of the particular system. So based upon the system function, we can assign the particular requirements. So which requirements are better to the particular functions. Okay. So in that way, of the conventional approach is that the requirements were typically specified in a functional manner. So built into the classical waterfall process was the fundamental assumption that the software itself was decomposed into the function. So whenever you can implement, here we can decompose it into the functions. So here in waterfall mode, what we say, first one is the requirement gathering, analysis, design, coding, testing, deployment. So here we can compose the three parts: analysis of coding one part, testing like coding, analysis and coding, next design and implementation and testing. So we have to define the different type of decompositions, and requirement were then allocated to the resulting components. See, and this decomposition was often very difficult from the decomposition based on object oriented design and the use of existing components. So it is very difficult to, whenever we have to using the existing components, so where the existing components will be allocated in perfectly. So it is not good to perfect like allocated in the existing components, it will be creating some problems. So in that way we can say this decomposition often very different from decomposition based object design and the use of existing components. When we are using the existing components, this is a different from the other things. Okay. And below the figure listed the result of requirement driven approaches, that is a software structure that is organized and around the requirements of specification structure. Okay. So that is the requirement driven functional decomposition. Okay. See. So this is the different type of decompositions here. The first one, system requirements, software requirements, software components, and the software. We can define the four parts. The first one is the system requirements, software requirements, software components, and software units. See, in the system requirements is one of the component that is the R1, R2, R3, and so on Rn. Here that system requirements will be defined of three parts, that is the RA, RB, RC, Ri, Rj, Rk, Rx, Ry, and so on R2. We can define the three parts of the particular softwares, and these softwares will be divided into the different type of components. See, suboptimal software components organized resulting from a requirement driven approach. See, in the software components, this is one of the component, it is one of the component, it is one of the component, and here this component of different type of software units are available. Okay. So in the FA is the one of the component, is the one of the component is the different type of units are available, and likewise FB and likewise FC. Okay. And see here Ri, Rj, and so on Rk. Here the different type of components Fi and Fj and Fk, and these are the different type of components, and these components of the different type of units are available. These are the different type of units, and Fi and Fj and Fk, and that is the next one is the different type of component. Fx is one of the software component, and Fy is one of the software component, and Fz is one of the software component, and these were component as Fx has some of the units of the particular software, and these components has the number of the different of units, and these of the number of units are available. So likewise we can decomposing into the different of parts of the software systems. Okay. So and see, this is the software requirements. These are the different type of requirements. R1 is one of the requirement, R2, R3. These are the one of the requirement. It will be divided into the different of software requirements, and these software is compared to the decomposed to the software components. It will be going to the different type of software units. So he say suboptimal software component organization resulting from a requirements of the driven approaches. That is the we can decomposing into the different type of parts. Okay, that is the one of the approach of the requirement driven approach, and it will be different to the using of the existing systems like existing components. Okay, so it will be different to the to add of the different to the existing components and chepachu. Okay na. Next one. Next, advisory stakeholder relationship. So what is the advisory stakeholder relationship? See, The conventional process tended to result in adversarial stakeholder relationship in large part because of the difficulties of requirement specification and exchange the information of solely through paper documents that captured engineering information in ad hoc format. So why the stakeholder relationship means, so whenever in one thing, in different projects different stakeholders involvement are there. So some of the projects are the stakeholder involvement available, some of the projects are there is no involvement of the stakeholders. So what we say, the stakeholder relationship is the most important, because of we have to change any requirements, it will be useful to the information from the stakeholders and exchange the information slowly to the paper and document that capture engineering information in the ad hoc format. So what we say, whenever we have to implement particular project, first we go for the to analyze the requirements. Whenever requirements confirmed, then we go send to the customer. When the customer is satisfied, we can start the process. But the customer is not satisfied, then it will be rescheduled and process will be done. Okay, so in that way, what we say, whenever we have to communicate with the customer or stakeholder, it will be easy to exchange the information, and if any problem is there, that is any modifications is there, we can easily modify the particular systems. Okay, so because of there is no involvement of the stakeholder, at the end of the project, the stakeholder is this is not good, this is a different of things is what we do, then we have to exchange that, the time will be increased in that process, we have to difficult. In that way we can say that stakeholder relationship is the best thing of the projects. See, in large part because of the difficulties of requirement specification and the exchange information slowly through paper document that captured engineering information in the ad hoc format. See, the following sequence of events was typical for most contractual software efforts. Okay, the first one, the contractor period as a draft contract deliverable document that captured an intermediate artifact and delivered it to the customer for approval. So what we say, whenever we have to gather the requirements, then these are the particular information, then we can send to the customer when the to the approval of the customer. When the customer approved, the next phase we can go for. Then the approval will be not done, we can reschedule the particular system. So in that way, the contractor prepared a draft contract deliverable document that captured an intermediate artifact and delivered it to the customer for approval. Okay, the customer was expected to provide comments within the 15 to 13 days. So whenever we have to send to the information from the customer, the customer was given the comments from the within 15 to 13 days. That is, if any changes will be there, we can change after 15 or 13 days. Then we have to reschedule, then we send to the next the information. When you have to change that requirement, then we have to next to send to the particular information. See, the customer was expected to provide comment, that is a typical within 15 to 30 days. Okay, the next one, the contractor incorporated these comments and submitted a final version for approval. So first of all, what we do, when we have to gather the requirements, then all the process will be completed, then we have to send to the information for the customer. So the customer, what we do, they have sent to the comments, it will be whatever, you have to send within 15 to 13 days. If any modifications, then the contractor incorporate and these comments, then taken the comments and change everything and submit it to the final version of our approval. Okay, that is the typical within 15 to 30 days as a final version for approval. So the contractor incorporated these comments and submitted typically with 15 to 30 days a final version of the approval. When the comment will be completed, after 13 days the process will be start. See, this is a one short review process encouraged high level of sensitivity on the part of the customers and contractors. Simply we can say this is the review, as a review. So what is the process going on? So actually in the projects we have to do something of the reviews. So what is the process of the project, what is the process of the project, likewise. So this is one short review process encouraged high levels of sensitivity on the part of customer and contractors. Okay, this is the relationship of the stakeholder. This is the most important to the relation between the customer and contractor. Okay, next one. Focus on documents and review meetings. So the conventional process focused on producing various documents that attempted to describe the software product with insufficient focus on producing tangible increment of the product themselves. So simply we can say, if there is no review meetings, the problem will be occurred. So what is the process will be going in the particular systems, we cannot easily identify it. Okay, in that way what we do, in every week or every month or 15 days we can go for the meeting for the particular project. So the project, so where is the project, so what happened in the project, what is the processing is going on, so what about the conditions in the project. So it is the most thing from the reviews. See, the conventional process focused on producing various documents that attempt to describe the software product. So different of documents are taken, then we go for the review meeting. So this is the process of the particular first month, this is the process of the next one, this is the process of the so when we go for the review meeting, if any changes of, if any problems, we can easily identify and we can modify it within the schedule. Otherwise, if problem is occurred, then after schedule it will be risk. Okay, with insufficient focus on producing tangible the product in themselves. See, contractors were driven to produce literally tons of papers to meet milestones and demonstrate progress to stakeholders, rather than spend their energy on tasks that would reduce the risk and product quality software. See, in that going for, if we can go for the risk, like we can go for the reviews, we can reduce the risk and produce the quality of the particular software. Otherwise, if some problems will be occurred, it will be take different type of risks. Okay, and typically presenters and the audience reviewed the simple things that they understood rather than the complex and important issues, and also they have to understood what are the process going on, what are the issues are there, what are the important issues, what are the complex issues are there. So you can easily identify it. So these are the problems. So these are the problems, how to solve. Okay, likewise we can do something that one. So more design reviews therefore resulted in low engineering value and high cost in terms of the effort and schedule involved in their preparation for the conduct. Okay, and they presented merely a facade of progress. Okay, see, below table summarizes the result of a typical design reviews. Here we can do for the design reviews. See, apparent result and real results. So apparent is that is a result of conventional software project design reviews. The apparent result is big briefing to diverse audience, that is the only a small percent of the audience understand of the software, and briefing the document expose few of the important assets and risk of complex software systems. So real result is we can easily identify the particular systems. And next one, a design that appear to be compliant, that is there is no tangible evidence of compliance, and compliance with an ambiguous requirement is the little value, and coverage of requirement, that is a typical of 100, that is the tons design drivers, tens of, that is a few are design drivers dealing with all requirement dilutes and focus on the critical drivers. If any problem is there, we can easily identify it. And next one is a design considered innocent until proved guilty, that is a design is always guilty, design flaws are exposed later in the life cycles. Okay, it will be assigned to the different of the life cycle of the particular system. So apparent results and results of the conventional software project design reviews, that is the big briefing of diverse of audience, a design that appears to be compliant and coverage of the different of requirements, typically that is the 100 of the requirements, a design concerned insufficient of until proven greatly, that is the only small percent of the audience understand the software, and briefing and document expose few of the important assets and risk of the complement systems, and compliance is there is no tangible evidence, and compliance is ambiguous, and coverage of these are dealing with the different of all the requirements, what is the focus on the requirements, what happened to that one, and design considered is the design is always guilty, and design is always guilty, and design flaws are exposed later in the particular life cycle. That is the conventional software project design reviews. This is, we have to design the two parts, that is the apparent and real results. Okay. Thank you.